the 110th consecutive sellout in this building in Sacramento, the state capital. The starting lineups for the Wizards: Michael Jordan, Popeye Jones, and Jahaidi White up front, with Richard Hamilton and Chris Whitney in the backcourt. Peja Stojakovic, Chris Webber, and Vlade Divac, the front court for the Kings, with Doug Christie and Mike Bibby. And right now, let's check in with Craig Sager. Craig.
Well, it's a monumental day for Richard Hamilton. Never mind Valentine's, nor his 21st birthday. Richard Hamilton today officially joined Michael Jordan's Breakfast Club. All season long on the day of a game, Jordan would get up early, lift weights, eat breakfast, and then go to shoot around. Meanwhile, Hamilton would sleep in, arrive sluggish, and as the season progressed, get worn down. Tuesday night, after he was pushed around by the Lakers and physically taken out of the game in that 20-point fallout, Hamilton finally gave in to Jordan's leadership in peer pressure. Jordan does not expect the 6'7", 109-pounder to finally have a ripped body immediately, but he says it will develop confidence and also a work ethic. It is a voluntary breakfast club, but Hamilton has promised he'll be there every day for the rest of the year. Dick?
All right, Craig, and they do have breakfast after they lift weights. Let's add that, and that's why it's called the Breakfast Club. The officials tonight: Dan Crawford, Leon Wood, and Gary Zielinski. Kings beating San Antonio Tuesday by 10 points, and the Wizards losing to the Lakers 103-94. And as Hubie mentioned, they led by 20 points in the second half and fizzled. And another tough assignment tonight as the tip controlled by Washington.
In Washington's offense, you'll get Hamilton and Jordan on a lot of one-on-one and curls. When the double team happens, look for the three-point shooter.
And Michael Jordan missing the first shot of the game. And there is Jahaidi White with the basket and the foul. So, as you mentioned, they're getting great center performance from several people, including White.
Outstanding offensive rebounding team. You have Jahaidi White, and then you have Popeye Jones, and then coming off the bench, Brendan Haywood. These three guys are very difficult to keep off the glass because most people use their man as a double team and cover guy.
Stojakovic committed the foul on White, who did not play last week in the game against the Kings because of a viral infection. So he is in the lineup and a big presence in the middle for Washington. Inside to Christie.
That was beautiful to watch because the defender took his eye off the man and was watching the dribbler. Boom, backdoor action. Sacramento moves extremely well without the ball.
Wizards one game under 500 on the road. And trying to get to the 500 mark as Chris Whitney connects on a three.
Now that's a perfect example of how we're trying to set you up for this game. Richard Hamilton was double teamed. The pass came out. They make the second pass out of the trap.
Here is Vlade Divac trying to go underneath and got rejected by Jahaidi White as Popeye Jones getting the rebound for the Washington Wizards, whose loss to the Lakers ended their 5-game winning streak.
Now, with Washington's success, everyone talks about the Jordan and Hamilton, etc., and team play. But at power forward and center, they keep getting better night in and night out.
Hamilton with a one-hander, and they fight for the offensive board, and Chris Webber gets it out to Bibby. Bibby penetrating, leaves it out for Doug Christie, who is off on the three-point attempt, and the Wizards come back with it. The score last week, by the way, the Wizards winning 108-101 over the Kings, thanks to a 35-point first quarter. Jordan with a left-handed lay-in.
That was beautiful. Michael saw that it was Divac on him. If he came back with the right hand, Divac had a shot block. He brought it up and under with the left hand.
Wizards off to a hot start. Here is Webber with the turnaround, and he is short with it. And Divac loses it to Hamilton, and way ahead is Popeye Jones. And the Wizards have taken a 9-2 lead. And no basket. They call traveling against Popeye.
Yeah, good call. You're allowed a two-step. You're allowed to pick up your pivot foot on that second step as long as you shoot or pass. But on the catch, Popeye did a little bunny hop before he got into the two-step.
And on the drive, Mike Bibby is fouled. Bibby, of course, the big change in the starting lineup, replacing Jason Williams, as Williams and Nick Anderson were traded to the Memphis Grizzlies for Bibby and Brent Price right now on the injured list. But right now, Rick Adelman very pleased with the way the Kings played the first half of the season.
Looking at Bibby's performance, over Jason Williams. See, what you have here is a higher field goal percentage. He shoots it at 45. A higher three-point shooting percentage at 36, and then less turnovers in critical situations.
Wizards leading 7-4, and this is the first of 2 long West Coast trips. Their final game of this trip will be Friday against Phoenix. And that is the second half of a back-to-back duo here. Here is Hamilton driving against Stojakovic. Pretty move by Rick Hamilton.
Now, he loves that move. He's an excellent 6 to 15-foot player. He can stop on a dime or he can shoot it off the wrong foot.
Weber going for the offensive rebound after missing inside on a foray, and the Wizards leading by 5. 3 minutes gone by here in the first quarter. Whitney looking for Jordan, and Jordan against Stojakovic. Michael getting inside, and helping out was Divac.
Big test tonight. Washington transition defense. You must stop Sacramento from shooting the 3 in transition and then getting the easy layups as this game moves on.
Sacramento missing 7 of their first 8 shots of the game, trailing by 5. Jordan guarded by Christie. Now here is Popeye Jones with the one-hander, and Popeye Jones, who had a season-high 18 points and 15 rebounds on perfect shooting a week ago against Sacramento.
The crowd getting a little nervous now because this is Washington's tempo. They would like to keep this up. In order to keep it up, you must shoot a high percentage, and they're doing it.
Weber looking for the foul, doesn't get it, and the Wizards doing a terrific job.
He's hot. He's hot, and so is Rick Alleman. They felt that he has been hit hard on the last 2 shots.
Hamilton picked up by Christie, an outstanding defensive player.
This will be an excellent matchup to watch as this game moves on. Christie, Hamilton.
Jordan inside to White on the pick and roll. Michael Jordan finding White, and you talked about how his assists have been impressive this year.
Michael is not forcing anything. Both times now he has hit Jahadi White as Jahadi White releases when his man double teams.
Weber from the perimeter. Christie getting the offensive rebound, and Weber coming in foul by Jahadi White, with the Wizards coming out to an early 9-point lead.
Yeah, good foul. Force him to make the foul shot. So just watch how Jahadi White slips this. See, they had the double team on Michael. Jahadi White slips it. Now, not only did he make the catch, but he dunked it with power. 2 hands on the ball.
So Weber will go to the line. You mentioned that he missed 25 games. He was out the first 20 of the season with the sprained ankle. In that time, the Kings got out to a 15-5 record. Pretty impressive. And Weber, who spent 4 years with Washington, makes good on the first free throw.
Well, last year was his best season in the league, and he made the All-NBA team a great compliment for a great season. Now, he's back. He's only played 25 games, but how about the fact that he's averaging 25 points, and he's right there with the 10 rebounds? And we know that there legitimately are only 3 or 4 guys in this league averaging over 20 and over 10 boards. He's right there.
Weber 1 out of 2 from the line, and of course Sacramento fans breathing easy after Weber signing the 7-year contract when it was thought that he might go elsewhere. So he is the linchpin of this franchise. And Stojakovic steals the pass intended for Jordan. Here is Weber going in, and the ball is knocked away and out of bounds. Last touch by Sacramento.
Now, Chris Weber was fouled twice. He didn't get a call. Right there, he was lucky there was a non-call because that was a definite offensive charge.
6.5, under 6:50 remaining in this first quarter. Jordan finds Whitney, and Whitney rebound by Divac. Kings off to the slow start, 1 for 10 from the field, and the foul is called against the Wizards.
I like what the Wizards are doing on the break. They're giving up their body. Now, that time they were called for a block, but you would rather get a block called than a player go in and make a layup.
That is the second foul against Chris Whitney, and Doug Collins will make a substitution, and Ty Lue will come into the game. Tyronn Lue, who received his championship ring in Los Angeles Tuesday night, member of the Lakers title team last year. So Lue in at point guard. Here's Weber against Popeye Jones. Weber his first field
difficult to block because he's 6'10", and it's a great jump hook, and he's doing it off the dribble.
Wizards leading by 6 points, nearly halfway through this opening quarter. And Hamilton guarded by Weber, and the fall away. White charging the offensive glass, and we'll have a Washington foul, and that'll be the second against Jahidi White. So we may see Brendan Haywood, the rookie from North Carolina, come on into the game, and that's the call from Doug Collins.
Yeah, well, I tell you, he's late getting to the table right now, and if they're smart, they would give it to Divac and let him go against White, looking for another foul.
And that's what they do. They pick and roll. Divac laying it in, and White not putting up much resistance. And now it is a 4-point lead for Washington, 13-9. Jordan defended against Stojakovic, and Stojakovic getting a handoff. Here is Bibby, and Bibby going behind to Chris Webber. And now the Wizards get it back with 5.5 to go. In this first quarter, they have led in this first period.
I'm impressed with the half-court defense by Sacramento, Dick. They're doing an excellent job on Jordan. Christie and Stojakovic are switching, which either way, and they're really causing Michael a problem because he cannot turn the corner on the catch.
Jahidi White staying in the game, and Brendan Haywood going back to the bench. Here is Stojakovic, and that'll be a 2-point field goal by Peja Stojakovic, coming in averaging 23 a game, and the Kings trailing now by only 2. Here is Jordan. Jordan against Stojakovic. 5 on the shot clock. Hamilton, and a 2-pointer by Hamilton, and it's a 15-11 Wizard lead.
Washington has patience tonight. They're doing a very good job in the movement of the ball.
And Weber working his way in, winds up on the floor, getting up slowly, but appears to be all right. And
well, he's hot.
He's very upset.
Yeah, he's hot. See that he can't get a foul. There's a technical, and you knew that was coming, and he knew it was coming. Rick Adelman right now is very upset because as Weber hit the floor and picked up the ball, as he was walking up the floor, he was talking to Adelman, and there's no doubt about it. He has been hit on 3 plays. Now, they just hit Rick Adelman with a technical, so Washington will be shooting 2 here. Now, keep an eye on this play. Now, remember, he's a prime-time player. He's an all-star player and an all-NBA guy. See, now, he definitely gets hit there. That would have been Jahidi White's 3rd foul in this game. All right, now, he got definitely put down. Now, he's upset. Now, as he's walking, he's talking to Rick Adelman right now. Now, the frustration is there. Now, Danny Crawford cannot allow him to show the referees up, so he hit him with a technical.
And welcome back to Sacramento. Dick Stockton, Hubie Brown, and Craig Sager. The Wizards lead by 2. 4:25 to go in the first, and Chris Webber could not hold in his frustration any longer. Starting out 1 of 7 from the field, hit with a technical foul after he felt he was fouled on several occasions. And then Rick Adelman, the head coach for the Kings, also hit with a tee. And Hamilton on the line.
Hamilton is just an outstanding free throw shooter. He shoots it at 90%.
Brendan Haywood coming into the game for the Wizards. Jahidi White stayed in for another couple of minutes after he picked up his 2nd foul. So Haywood is in, and Christian Laettner at the scorer's table will come in at the next dead ball. Wizards leading by 3. Weber defending against Jones. Quick turnaround. Divac cleared.
Early in this game, Washington has not been able to get to the offensive board. Now, we know that's a strong suit. If you shoot a high percentage, the rebounds are not there.
Stojakovic open, And the rebound taken down by Popeye Jones, who has averaged 8 rebounds this year. So with Jones, Haywood, and Jahidi White, one of the reasons why the Wizards so effective off the glass, particularly the offensive board. 10 on the shot clock. Michael Jordan has scored 2 points, and now he's got 4. And the Wizards are up by 5.
Right now, anytime that there's a ball cross, Sacramento is switching on Jordan. They did that by design because Bibby switched. Jordan just shot up right over the top.
Pass from Bibby, flying to the basket, and the Kings obviously want Weber to get going. He missed 7 of his first 8 shots of the game, and it's a 3-point lead, Washington.
Smart basketball. Come out of the timeout and get him going.
And here is Jordan. Rebound by Weber. Could not get the outlet pass, did not have control.
Big test tonight for Washington. Transition defense. Going to be big.
And no basket, and Mike Bibby fouled before the shot by Tyronn Lue. And a timeout. Just under 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Washington leading Sacramento 18-15.
Washington has the basketball right here. You can see they've just run a curl. They're going to pass the ball into the post. And once Lue does that, watch him screen for Jordan. Now, as Jordan comes off the screen, you're going to see Sacramento switch. Now, watch Bibby. See, Bibby's going to switch on Jordan. That's what they want. Because up until now, on all of the exchanges, Stojakovic and Christie have been switching. Jordan has had difficulty shooting over the top. Well, now they're going to include Bibby into these crosses, and then when Bibby picks Jordan up, he shoot up over the top with ease.
Michael Jordan going to the bench with those numbers. Christian Laettner has come in the game, returning Tuesday and playing 9 minutes against the Lakers. Was out twice with a bruised thigh and missed 9 games. Earlier had missed a 14-game string with a broken bone in his left leg. Tyrone Nesby also has come in for the Wizards.
Now with Hamilton and Laettner on the floor, you have 2 guys who can score for you, and then do not discount Nesby. Nesby has been playing great basketball off the bench in point production.
Had 10 against the Lakers in the losing cause, but was very active on Tuesday night. Hamilton, who had 33 when these teams played a week ago, and tries to get the ball in. Last touch by Weber with 5 seconds on the shot clock. Richard Hamilton had a partially torn right groin, and the Wizards 5-1 since he's come back.
They get it up here.
And 2 seconds on the clock. Laettner gets it off, and it's off the mark. Christie with the outlet to Weber. And here is Bibby in the middle with another looping pass, and Weber to the lead.
The second unit for Washington, they've got to pay attention here right now. You've got to cut down your turnovers, high percentage shots, and then get back. Because this team right now, they still have their regular guys out there, Sacramento.
Hamilton trying to find an open space, finds the open man Laettner, but Divac comes out nicely, and the ball last touched off of Hamilton's hand, turns it over to the Kings, who could take their first lead of the game.
With Laettner, Hubert Davis, and then Hamilton coming back, Doug Collins and his staff, they have got to get guys into shape, meaning Laettner and Hamilton and Davis, with timing, chemistry, execution. That only comes with experience, but then you got to live with the turnovers.
You saw Scott Pollard and Hedo Turkoglu come into the game with under 2 minutes to go for the Kings. As Divac and Stojakovic go out. Pollard inside, fouled, and missed a chance for the 3-point play as Haywood underneath for Scott Pollard. And I'll tell you one thing, when the Kings bring him in, they lose nothing.
See, Scott Pollard stepped right up there. Just keep an eye to the right of your screen. You're going to see Weber right here looking to go back. His man turns his head right there. Brendan Haywood turns his head, Pollard backdoor. Chris Weber puts the ball right on the money. When you play Sacramento, the movement is excellent away from the ball. The reason? Because you have Divac and Weber, 2 of the best passing front court players that we have in this league. They give the good pass that you can catch.
And a prolific offensive team, as evidenced by the numbers you showed at the top. Of course, they are the second leading scorer in the NBA, scoring team at 104 points a game, second to Dallas. Pollard with 1 free throw, but the Kings with their first lead of the game, 19-18, 1:45 remaining in the first quarter. Hamilton picked up by Bibby right now. And the jumper by Hamilton off the mark, knocked away by Haywood and into the hands of Doug Christie. Under a minute and a half remaining in the first. Here's Weber going down low to Pollard, knocked away, and they're going to call the foul against Nesby. Nesby holding Scott Pollard, committing the personal foul.
When these two teams played a week ago in Washington, it was the 6th game of an Eastern road trip in 8 days for Sacramento. They did not play to their quality, but then Washington had a great game from Jordan with 25, Hamilton with 33, Popeye Jones with 18, and the game was still close, but they did not get a W.
Wizards over the limit, so Pollard will be shooting the free throws. Coming up now next week on TBS and TNT, the Timberwolves take on the Mavericks Tuesday at 8 p.m. on TBS. Wednesday will be in Toronto as the Raptors host the Hornets on TNT at 8 p.m. And then on TNT Thursday, the Kings face the Spurs at 9 p.m.
The major flaw in the offensive makeup of this 8-man rotation is the foul shooting of Divac as well as Pollard. These are two guys that shoot in the 60s, and this becomes a liability when you're playing half-court basketball at playoff time.
Kings 5 for 10 from the line. Backing up your comments about their free throw problems.
Hamilton just missed Brendan Haywood wide open on the low box.
4 on the shot clock. Nesby pulling back, and Haywood losing the fight to Pollard with under a minute to go in the first.
I don't like the energy of this Washington team.
And Weber, who hit 3 in a row after a cold start, comes up empty from the corner. Hamilton open for the jumper and way off the mark. The energy and the shooting way off for the Washington Wizards. Here is Bibby over Lou, and he hits. And it is now 21-18 after the Wizards took the early lead by 9.
Whenever you play Sacramento, they only use 8 guys. So when you bring your second unit, you have 5 new guys out there. They still have 3 starters out on the floor. So you have to pay attention because the tempo is quicker than you are used to playing second unit.
Hamilton with a fake and another errant shot, and Haywood losing it. Here is Bibby. Bibby pulls up, and Lou getting the rebound as time runs out. So the Sacramento Kings overcome an early 9-point deficit, finish on a 17-5 run, paced by Chris Webber's 9 points. After 1, the Kings lead the Wizards 21-18.
After 1, it's the Kings over the Wizards by 3. Sacramento's love affair with Chris Webber had a separation this week. Webber verbally lashed out at the local media after the Sacramento Bee wrote a 3-page story about his alleged romance with model Tyra Banks. Sacramento has only one newspaper, and according to Webber, 3 writers have been tailing him constantly, staking out restaurants, and stalking his every whereabouts. Webber told me tonight what really made him upset was that he met with the newspaper last week, and they agreed not to print the story. By the way, since it is Valentine's Day, he did add that he is not seriously involved with Tyra Banks. Dick, Hubie?
You know, Craig, if you didn't come up with a little gossip, you know, you wouldn't be doing the Thanksgiving or the Valentine's Day assignment here, and you're decked out well. Kirkaloo trying to get it to Weber, driving to the basket, and turns it over. So as we start the second quarter, the Wizards have Ty Lue with Michael Jordan back in the game. Brendan Haywood, Tyrone Nesby, and Christian Laettner. The Wizards were outscored 6-0 after Jordan went to the bench.
Well, Doug Collins will always, now that Hamilton is back, Hamilton or Jordan, one of the two will be on the floor at all times.
Bobby Jackson into the game for the Kings. Christian Laettner, as Hubie mentioned, the Wizards healthy finally, trying to get their injured players in shape, and that includes Christian Laettner, that Nesby chalking up his second foul.
Unfortunately, when you get key guys back, and you need them in order to contend against the premier teams in the league, well, it takes a while for them to get back razor sharp. And right now, Christian Laettner is nowhere near ready.
Laettner harassing Jackson, and Weber firing over Haywood and hits. Chris Weber now with 11 points. He led the Kings in the losing effort last week with 21 against the Wizards. 5-point lead for the Kings. Jordan guarded by Turkoglu, and Jordan is off the mark, and Michael Jordan right now hitting 2 of his first 7.
Well, questions about coaching. Coaches will always say, hey, as long as I'm getting my team high percentage shots, I can live with the misses. And if you are coaching Washington tonight, you're getting what you want out of the offense. You're getting good looks at the basket, and your guys are just ice cold.
And not playing with the zeal and energy that we have seen the Wizards in the past. Nesby, knocked away by Turkoglu, and here's Jackson. 2-on-1, and there is Weber on the lob pass from Jackson, and it doesn't go, but the Kings had a 2-on-1. Jordan inside Haywood.
Plenty of time.
Nesby for 3, and he hits. So Tyrone Nesby, and you talked about the fact Doug Collins likes his scoring abilities, cuts the lead to 2.
Well, he is one of the 5 guys that are shooting over 40% in threes. So you have to pay attention tonight at both ends of the floor. 2 excellent three-point shooting clubs.
And here is Jackson from 3, missing. Haywood with the outlet to Jordan, picked up by Jackson. Jackson bumping Michael Jordan, the turnaround, and Jordan with his 3rd field goal of the game ties it at 23.
Anytime Michael's in the open floor tonight, whether it's 1-on-2, 1-on-3, if he can get up over the top of the defender, he's got to take the shot.
Back to Weber, who's been the high scorer in the game, and Weber knocked away this time by Haywood, and here come the Wizards, slowing the pace, putting up the jumper, and Jordan has hit 2 in a row, and the Wizards regain the lead by 2 after trailing by 5. Jordan defending Christie. Christie driving the baseline, and the second effort by Doug Christie ties the game.
Christie's having an outstanding season. He's very quiet in his production. He gives you 13 points. He gets you 5 boards. Shoots a high percentage. Excellent three-point shooter. You foul him over 84%, and he's your key defender in your first year.
And making better decisions with the ball. His shot selection has been much improved this year. Here is Jordan, and he is fouled by Turkoglu. And we'll have a timeout with 8:35 remaining in the first half. Tied at 25, and the Wizards like where they are right now. So the Wizards, who are right now are in the 5th spot. Doug Collins in his first year as a coach of the team. Interesting that he's got the boss as his star player in Michael Jordan. Meanwhile, Chris Weber going to the bench for the first time, and Peja Stojakovic replaced him. Weber with 11.
Well, Washington Bullets really have a difficult journey. After tonight, they have 33 games remaining, 13 of which will be against the West. At the end of the year, they have a 6-game in 9-day trip out west. So that's going to be a difficult time.
And everyone else done with the West.
That's right.
Of all the top contenders, they'll be playing the Clippers, the Sonics, the Warriors, the Nuggets, and the Jazz on the extended trip. Turkoglu from outside. Turkoglu, who was the shootout champion, and by the way, Sacramento, the only NBA team to have at least one representative in each of the 4 All-Star events last weekend in Philadelphia. Whitney, and the rebound Stojakovic with the Kings up by 1.
Sacramento, up until now, doing an excellent job holding Washington to 1 shot attempt.
And that's not Washington's game.
Right.
Here is the Jackson. Jackson for 3, and he's got Jackson, who's being touted as a possible 6th-man winner. He came close last season.
Well, he's having an outstanding year. He's so tough defensively. He's averaging 10 points, shooting a solid percentage, and he's coming along. He's maturing, making better decisions, leading the second unit.
Jackson defending against Whitney. Haywood setting the screen, now going down low, and Whitney on the miss, the rebound by Stojakovic. Pages just got off 2 shots in the game, and he's a prolific outside shooter. Divac behind to Stojakovic, loses the ball, and here comes Jordan and the Wizards. Kings back defensively. Michael Jordan with the jumper. Jordan now with 11.
Well, there are 2 things that have to happen in this game. Sacramento must get to Michael a lot quicker on the break, because you can see he wants that 17-footer. At the other end, Washington, you know that this team is a prime-time three-point shooting team, just like yourself. You must get out and challenge when they spot up.
2 of the top 4 three-point shooting teams in the NBA on the floor tonight, with the Washington Wizards right up there. They are second in the league. The Kings are 4th.
24 grams.
And the foul committed by Jackson.
What I like tonight in watching both teams operate offensively is the unselfish pass. Both teams will make the extra pass to free up a player for a high percentage shot. Now, right now, Doug Collins likes the tempo. He realizes there's pressure on his club now to shoot a high percentage.
Nesby with the shot, and a good feed off by Michael Jordan, who had scored the last 7 points before Nesby's jumper to tie it.
Now, this guy Nesby averaged double figures 2 years playing for the Los Angeles Clippers. So you're looking at him saying, well, who is this guy? This guy's been in the league and he can score.
Jackson misses for 3 from the corner, and now the Wizards, with under 6 minutes remaining in the first half, tied at 30, so they have the pace definitely in their way.
Well, they're not going to force anything. They are not a very quick team in the open floor, so they're not going to get any layups off the break.
Here is Whitney driving around Turkoglu against the bigger player. Haywood with the turnaround. The air ball picked up by Jackson, and the Kings looking to regain the lead. The Wizards led by 9 in the first quarter, and the basket counts on a foul. Jackson with the drive.
Coaches cringe when that happens. Bobby Jackson just ran a hesitation move. His man gets picked off on the screen, and 2 inside defenders are late. Not only Leitner, but also Brendan Haywood. Both guys were late, and all they had to do was take 1 major step, and that never would have happened.
Let's check out TNT's original series, Witchblade.
The Witchblade has many powers, but only the person who wields it can truly know them all.
See the story of a woman who started out a warrior and became something more. Witchblade. Every Monday night at 9, only on TNT.
Well, the Washington Wizards coming off the loss to the Lakers, trying to rebound tonight. Michael Jordan leading the Wizards with 11 points. Chris Webber has 11 for the Kings, and right now he's on the bench. And Popeye Jones back in the lineup for Washington.
Well, once again, another sellout on the road for the Wizards. Tickets tonight in the lower level. You could get in Sacramento $3,500 for 2 tickets in the lower level. Now that's drawing power.
Yes, it is.
It was difficult to get out of the lobby of our hotel tonight because Washington could not get to the bus.
You think these Western teams that will entertain Washington in the next trip are looking forward to his arrival? And the foul called against, it'll be an offensive foul against Jackson, his second, running into Whitney.
Yeah, now the reason for that is the people are booing because the referee was standing right on the baseline and did not make the call. And Danny Crawford, the lead official who was out at the foul line extended, is the one who made the call. That's why the people were upset.
Rip Hamilton back in for the Wizards along with Jahidi White. So the starters back in there, and off the glass, Jordan doesn't connect, and Popeye Jones has the ball knocked away. That was good aggressive play by the Kings to get the ball back. They're leading by 3, and Divac has it blocked by Popeye Jones. Great deflection when it looked like Divac was going to get an easy 2.
Yeah, and so did he. He thought he had an easy 2. As a matter of fact, he kind of nonchalantly attempted that baby hook shot. Beautiful strip by Popeye Jones.
Boy, he has been a valuable performer.
Yes, he has.
Remember, he started the year on the bench with Christian Leitner, the starter there. Here is Jahidi White with a jumper over Divac, and it's now a 1-point game.
Oh, that's nice to see. Jahidi muscled that one. That was all upper body strength. Divac had him defense perfectly. Johnny White has given Divac quite a few inches, and then with the long arms, Divac has a big advantage.
Stojakovic from the perimeter, and it's last touched by the Wizards. So the Kings get it back, and they bring in Mike Bibby, Doug Christie, and Chris Webber all come into the game. So it's starters versus starters once again with 4:02 to go in the half.
Oh, Bibby never saw it. Never saw it.
And the ball deflected, and it'll be Washington ball.
It's the old story, when that ball is handed to the man out of bounds, everyone has got to have their eyes on the ball unless you're involved in a screen. Bibby was looking in the opposite direction, and Christie thought he was wide open, threw him a blind pass.
Wizards looking to regain the lead, and it's been a very quiet crowd tonight. Remember, the Kings have won 19 in a row here and have lost only one in 27 games. Steal by Stojakovic, who lays it in.
Doug Collins has got to be upset, mainly because his guys are falling asleep with the ball. You want your team to put them to sleep with this tempo, but you cannot turn it over just with a little baby contact.
And this is a team that doesn't turn it over very often, but they are on successive possessions. Here is Mike Bibby with a jumper, and Doug Collins off the bench, and a 5-point lead for Sacramento.
Yeah, this is good.
And a timeout will be called right here. Doug Collins is furious, talking to the official Gary Zielinski, but back-to-back turnovers hurting the Wizards here.
Good timeout by Doug. An excellent time. He's got to talk to his guys. They've got to become more physical, Dick, even on their offensive rebounding. Tougher.
NASCAR on TNT and NBC. This weekend it's off to Daytona. Saturday it's the EAS GNC Live Well 300 Busch Race on TNT, and on Sunday it's the Super Bowl of stock car racing, the Daytona 500 on NBC. For complete schedule information, log on to NASCAR.com. 3:09 to go, 3:09 remaining, and Hamilton with a terrible shot.
That's his third air ball in a row.
And Stojakovic lays it in. Timeout didn't work.
Well, it's unfortunate because they got the shot that they wanted. They ran a double screen for Hamilton. He faded. He was wide open. But that is his third straight air ball in shooting an 18 to 22-foot shot.
And the Kings open up their biggest lead of this game, 7 points. Hamilton coming back, and he is struggling. Popeye Jones getting the offensive rebound, but Rip Hamilton 2 of 9 here in the first half, and Christie called for the push-in foul.
Whenever Washington plays a powerhouse team, meaning a second, third, fourth round playoff type of a team, they need Hamilton and Jordan to be on fire, plus that their power forward and center positions can get them some easy baskets on that offensive board. It's not happening yet.
And
there's another steal.
Turnover. Whitney throws it away. Stojakovic with another lay-in is coming too easy now for the Kings.
Well, it's all off the turnovers, Dick. And this is something that we're emphasizing because this team is so explosive and so quick that anytime you turn it over, they have an uncontested layup. This isn't a 2-on-1. It's a 1-on-0.
And Jordan has it blocked by Webber. And here's Webber, 3-on-2 now for the Kings. Bibby in the middle goes out to Stojakovic for 3. He's done it. Stojakovic, red hot, has scored 9 of his 11 points here in the second quarter, and the crowd is alive. Standing ovation, and it is a 12-point lead for the Kings.
They can do it in a hurry. They're great in the open floor, and they're great with the three-point shot.
Whitney short with his three-point attempt. Here is Stojakovic, who has scored 9 of the Kings' last 11. Webber driving in, and the basket will not count, and is charging, called against Chris Webber.
Yeah, Rick Adelman is very upset. He thinks that the defender is inside of the restraining line. Now remember, in a situation like this, you've got to be outside, and I'll tell you what, he was outside of the restraining area. An excellent call by Danny Crawford.
And a foul away from the basket. Now a 3-second violation called against Popeye Jones in the lane. So the Wizards who had the game close. The score was tied at 30-30, and then the turnovers resulting in easy Kings points.
Dick, you made a great point about 2 minutes ago. You said it's totally uncharacteristic for Washington. They're one of the top teams in the league with fewest turnovers. When it happens, this is what's happening at the other end. 3-point makes.
Mike Bibby, and the Kings coming in 4th in the league at 38% on a 14-0 run in the last minute of the first half. Hamilton, who's really struggled, and this time fouled by Divac. And Hamilton, who has 5 points in the game. Jordan with 11 leads the Wizards. And the Kings already with 3 in double figures, led by Chris Webber with 11 points, along with Stojakovic, who's been hot. Coming up on the AT&T Halftime Report, Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, and Charles Barkley are in the studio with NBA scores and highlights. Here is Hamilton, who missed 17 games with that groin injury, but when he's been back, the Wizards have gone to town. And you talked about Jordan and Hamilton. When both of those players score 20 or more points, the Wizards are a perfect 8-0 on the year. So they need both of them.
They need Hamilton to really get back into tip-top shape, the way he was before the injury. He and Jordan were a dynamic duo. They were the top 4 duos in the league in scoring points for their teams. Now, you know yourself, he's a 90% foul shooter. He's got to get to the line. But tonight, he's getting bumped, and it's throwing him off of his jump shoot game.
Nesby and Leitner into the game for the Wizards. Here's Webber with a big pass. Misses the reverse layup. And a half a minute to go. The differential between the shot clock and the game clock is about 9 seconds. 47-34, the Kings lead. And nearing that 50-point mark at the half. Leitner open, hits.
Yeah, that's what Christian needs. Christian needs a couple of baskets and then a couple of nice passes because he's an excellent passer and he enjoys passing. You just got to get a nice feel, get a good sweat up. But they have to defend the 3.
Stojakovic, and the ball comes off, and the final seconds kick off, and that'll do it in the first half. Slow start for the Kings, but they forced the sluggish Wizards to turn it over and took advantage of it. And we'll take an 11-point lead intermission as we send it out to Craig Sager.
Along with Mike Bibby, Dick Stockton mentioned the starters came back in. 4 minutes to go in that second quarter. You only have a 1-point lead. What did you do to change things?
We got some stops. We started to play hard. We started to get out and run. They don't want to run with us. We know that already, and they're trying to slow it down. And we came out, we got a lot of easy baskets.
You also had the turnovers. But you guys are just controlling the boards. I think they only have 2 offensive rebounds. What a difference that's making.
It's a big difference because when we played them up there, you know, they killed us on the boards, and that's what made us lose by so much. And, you know, we put an emphasis on, you know, rebounding, you know, getting out on the break, stopping their curl cuts, and, you know, that's what we're doing.
All right, thanks a lot. Let's go back to Dick and Coach.
And scoring 14 straight points, Craig, helped the Kings' cause. So at the end of the first half here at Arco Arena, the Kings lead the Wizards 47-36. And right now, let's send you to our Atlanta studios, Ernie Johnson and company. Ernie. Rick Adelman, the head coach, but Webber, who always seems to be emotional against the team that he was with. He was that way against Golden State when he was with Washington the first time, and now he's that way against Washington.
Well, the one thing about him, he can get the shots. He can get shots anytime. He's already had 14 shots. He has 11 points, and you know that he can hit facing. He's an outstanding passer. He's got the jump hook. He gives you a lot of looks.
Peja Stojakovic, let's add him to the highlights you showed at the half.
To me, he's right up there. You can say someone can shoot as well as he from three-point, mid-range, taking it foul line. But this guy is really up and coming. You got to remember, he's only in his young 20s, so he's going to be around for a long time.
13th in the league in scoring. Way off the mark was Jordan, and we'll have a foul against the Kings, and it'll be against Vlade Divac.
Whenever you're hooked up with Stojakovic, you cannot rest defensively. And at the last exchange, Michael Jordan just gave up on him, and he floated on Jordan. Boom, the pass was right there. He's a great catch-and-shoot player.
Sacramento Kings, who right now have a lead over the LA Lakers. They have lost one fewer game. Of course, the Kings lost to the Lakers in the playoffs the last 2 years. Last year, in 4 straight in the conference semifinals. So that's the team ultimately they've got to handle. Here's Whitney, the jumper, and White misses the follow.
Yeah, that was a very difficult second shot chance, mainly because Jahidi White was off balance.
Devon driving in, fouled by Jahidi White. So Vlade Devon with only his second field.
Been on vacation tonight. You know, he's not expending an awful lot of energy. This is just a smart move for him. Anytime that he catches 15 to 17, he has a major advantage over Jahidi White off the dribble.
And White picking up his 3rd personal foul. And Divac with the 3-point play. Leading rebounder, by the way, for the Wizards in the first half was Christian Laettner with 8 off the bench. Divac had 6, and the Kings open up their biggest advantage, 52-36. Here's Whitney missing the 3. Jordan knocks it away. And out of bounds, last touch by Michael.
Right now, you look on the faces of the Washington guys. They just don't have that look in their eye that they're going to be able to get it done here tonight. I don't know what it is. They've been a half a step slow all night. Now, when they shot that high percentage, it was fine.
Bibby from 3 misses, but there is Stojakovic in the lane. So all the bounces going Sacramento's way.
In this building, this team is terrific. This is the 4th straight year that they've averaged over 100 points. They led the league in scoring, 99, 2000, 2001. They're second this year at 104 behind Dallas. They just explode here. So you have got to bring your A game if you're going to compete in this building. Now this is just a great pass by Christie down into the corner. Now they almost come out of this with a great tap, but they never give up on the action here.
And you're right about the way they feel at home. They have a different mental approach between home and on the road, where they have really not played as well. They feel they can't lose here at Arco, and that has really been the case. White follows up on the miss for the Wizards.
Yeah, you like to see more of that. That's the only way they're going to get back here. They need to defend, and then they need 2 shot attempts at the offensive end of the floor.
Weber facing against Popeye Jones, and Chris Weber, and the rebound by White into the hands
You got advantage
of Whitney. There is Hamilton open, going in strong and missing the layup. It's not Hamilton's night.
No, he just got himself into a bad angle.
And there is a pass from Divac to Weber. And it's a 56-38 game with only 2.5 minutes gone here in the 3rd quarter.
They're at their best right now. They're showing us their game from the middle of the 2nd quarter right up until the present. They've been on fire.
Hamilton, who had missed his last 7 shots with the lay-in, and you know the look on the face of the Wizards, similar to what the Kings had last week in Washington. They just didn't have it that night. Here is Bibby.
Pretty.
And Popeye Jones as the ball spins off the rim.
Yeah, Mike Bibby's a little, he's upset with himself. He's a little embarrassed because he missed that. That was his easiest shot of the night.
Jordan. And Stojakovic coming down with it. Jordan looking for a foul on this. And here is Bibby against Whitney. Whitney getting the job done. And Jordan following. So the Wizards showing a little more aggressiveness now on the defensive end. Jordan pulls up. And it doesn't go for him. Michael Jordan. Now 5 of 15 from the field. He has 11 in the game. 16-point lead for the Sacramento Kings, boasting a 38-12 record, best in the league. Christie with the jumper. Christie now with 6.
That's a heady player. When you come off of a screen, if your defender goes under and you have 3-point range, you just step back. He read the defense perfectly.
And another big addition in his 2nd year, Jordan from Whitney. Christie traded, acquired from Toronto for Corliss Williamson, and Michael Jordan now with his 13th point.
That was an excellent trade, mainly because they got a 2-guard who could defend, who can score, who can run the open floor and pass for you. They needed that here, a stabilizing 2 guard at 6'6".
Here is Jones, and the basket counts in a foul. So a good pass from Michael Jordan to Popeye Jones. It is Jones' second field goal of the game and a chance for the three-point play.
Now just keep an eye. You're going to see a good strong handoff here. And now an excellent move by Popeye Jones. You're Doug Collins. You've been in this situation a lot. You're trying to encourage your guys because you know you want a shot at the beginning of this third quarter. So you're constantly hammering your guys. Just try to get it to 9. Try to get it to 8 or 9 so that we have a chance in the last quarter.
Divac picking up his third personal foul for the Kings. 7.5 to go in the third. Bounce pass. Weber to Divac. Great passing by the Sacramento Kings.
They fronted the post, and they shot Divac to the foul line. They passed it to the foul line. Weber had his man on his back. See, that's great teamwork, reading the defense.
Divac, one of the best passing centers in the league, now has 5 assists tonight. Here is White backing in.
That was a flop.
And here comes Christie, 3-on-3. Christie knocked away by Michael Jordan on the steal. But a 15-point lead for Sacramento, and right now it looks like the Wizards are just treading water. When they score, the Kings come right back. Here's Jordan, and he's fouled by Christie, and will shoot a pair.
Now, Michael is working very hard to get a high percentage shot off. Doug Christie is working extremely hard. He and Stojakovic have done an excellent job switching off on Jordan, keeping Michael out on the perimeter. Now, Christie was right up on Michael on that and challenged the shot.
Coming up next week on TBS and TNT, the Timberwolves take on the Mavericks Tuesday at 8 p.m. on TBS. Wednesday, we'll be in Toronto as the Raptors host the Hornets on TNT. Starting time 8 p.m. and then on Thursday, TNT is the place to go as the Kings face the Spurs at 9 p.m. Michael Jordan with 15 points in the game. He had 25 against the Kings a week ago, and Sacramento up by 13.
Well, the incredible stat of Jordan is the one that we showed in the opening, where he and Kobe Bryant are the only 2 guys in this league averaging 25 points, over 5 rebounds, and over 5 assists. That's a complete game. And then you're not talking about at the defensive end of the floor. Now, the fact that he's going to be 39 years old this weekend is incredible, what he is doing coming back after laying off for 3 years.
It's remarkable, and more than anything, getting the Wizards to where they are in the Eastern Conference as Bibby now with 12 points, and the lead is up to 15 again. Sacramento destroying the Wizards in the paint tonight. Steal by Mike Bibby, and Jordan trying to get it back, but Bibby steadies.
Yeah, careless pass by Michael. See, this team plays the passing lanes well. They really do.
No-look pass from Weber to Divac, and the crowd groans along with the bloody Divac with 6 minutes gone by in the third quarter, and a timeout called by Doug Collins and the Wizards. Tied for the scoring lead with Stojakovic, and Bibby with 12. Michael Jordan has 15 for the Wizards. Rick Hamilton has a 9, well below his season's average at this point. Under 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. Dick Stockton, Hubie Brown, Craig Sager with you here at Arco Arena. Kings trying to make it 20 in a row at home. Hamilton, it's just not going for him tonight, and a foul called against Washington, and it's Popeye Jones.
Now, Washington tried to post up Michael Jordan on the left side of the floor. They had him posted with the man on his back. They could not feed him the basketball. Now, by swinging it to the other side of the floor, it showed you beautiful court balance. Hamilton was wide open, but you hit the nail on the head, Dick. It's not his knife. He just cannot throw it in the ocean.
3 for 13 for Richard Hamilton. Weber working his way in, blocked by Jahidi White. Good defensive play.
You got an advantage here.
And here is Hamilton beating White. And the basket counts and a foul. Pretty pass by Rip Hamilton.
That's one of the very few times this evening that we have seen Washington push the ball in transition and score. Now, this is just a nice feed. Why? Because Divac left his man, Jahidi White, to stop the dribbler.
And that's the 4th personal foul on Vlade Divac, and White having a solid game tonight as Divac will go to the bench, replaced by Scott Pollard. Divac with 5 points tonight. And again, as we've said many times, Divac, of course, has been the starter, but they don't lose much with Pollard in the lineup.
Well, Chris Webber missed 25 games out of 50. Pollard just stepped into the starting lineup, or they would play Turkoglu and Stojakovic together. He would come off the bench. They never missed a beat.
Jones defending against Webber. 10 on the shot clock for the Kings. And they go down to Stojakovic on the baseline. Tough shot!
I think he was behind the backboard, but he definitely was. That was a raindrop over the top of the board. That was a spectacular angle. What a great touch.
Here is Jordan coming right back. Michael Jordan off balance. Trying to keep it alive is White, but Webber comes down with it. 4 on 2 right now. Now it's a 4 on 3 for the Kings. Webber and Bibby will be firing in the basket. Counts in a foul. So Chris Whitney fouls Mike Bibby and a chance for a 3-point play.
Now this is just a great move. There's good fake. Fade on the shot. Gets fouled. You just keep an eye on this. Now watch where he is. See, he's behind the basket, behind the board. He shoots the ball up over the top of the board. Now you know in horse, that's where you take guys a lot of time when you have a good touch.
Right. You clinch that contest with that shot.
Oh my.
Well, Bibby now with 14 points, and the Kings leading by 16. Sacramento 26-1 here at Arco Arena. Hamilton didn't have control as he went up.
He was wide open. He did not hit the rim again, Vic. That's the 4th time in this game.
Webber is fouled, driving to the basket by Popeye Jones. And remember, this Washington Wizard team losing to the Lakers after the 20-point lead on Tuesday night in the second half still have to play Phoenix tomorrow night.
Remember now, Richard Hamilton had 33 points against Sacramento 1 week ago in Washington. As good as he was, tonight he's having a very tough night.
Chris Webber still with 15 points. Sunday, it's the NBA on NBC as the Portland Trail Blazers host the Los Angeles Lakers. Coverage begins at 4:30 p.m. on NBC.
Well, Portland playing much better lately. Now that Anderson is back, they have a nice rotation off the bench. They're staying with 8 veteran players, and they're playing at a better rate. They're winning like 8 out of 10 games now, and it's kind of nice to watch. You're hoping that they can turn it around.
An unselfish team they have been as of late. Hubert Davis into the game for the first time. One of those injured players getting back and trying to get his legs back. Davis defended by Bibby. Tries to draw the foul and thought he was.
Oh, I mean, it was right in front of the referee.
But no call.
No, he got hit on that.
Leitner defending Webber. Webber with his fine play, and Doug Collins wants to talk it over. So Chris Webber with 16 points and now 6 assists and a timeout. And the biggest lead of the game for the Sacramento Kings, 19. Solid teamwork all the way around for the Kings.
Up there with the people in the city. Fantastic.
And it's not a new franchise anymore. Christian Laettner hits the jumper. A lot of people think it's fresh, but this is their 17th year in this city. They were 10 years in Kansas City, 3 years when they combined Omaha and KC, 15 in Cincinnati, and 9 years in Rochester. So this is of all this franchise, starting with the Royals to the Kings. They've been here longer. Here is Stojakovic, started by Nesby into the game, and a foul before the shot. And it's on Nesby.
Stojakovic has improved his dribbling in traffic. In his first couple of years in this league, he was a catch-and-shoot type of a guy and soft. But he's worked on his body for upper body strength, and now he's getting to be very effective off the dribble, taking it to the basket. He's such a hard cover because you've got to get up tight on him, and then he's at 6'9", and when he makes that move to the hole, he finishes well.
First-time All-Star and also the 1-800 call AT&T shootout champion. So Stojakovic now with 19 takes over the scoring lead for the Kings.
Well, in the three-point shooting, he made 9 out of 10 at one time for 19 points, but Wesley Person tied him. They had a shootout. He made 7, and Wesley Person only made 4 in the shootout.
Nesby for 3, and the foul is called against the Wizards. Jahidi White, and that'll be his 4th personal foul. So Doug Collins, who said that this was a learning experience, the loss to the Lakers, because they never faced a team that put him into that kind of a buzzsaw as the defending champions determined not to lose at home in the second half the other night.
Well, you know yourself, Dick, if you are a coach on the Washington coaching staff, you're coming out on this trip. You're hoping to go one win, 2 losses. You know you're the underdog in LA. You're the underdog here in Sacramento. A lot of pressure will be on them tomorrow night in Phoenix. And what you're hoping for is, hey, that was a great learning experience in LA. You're absolutely right. Young players, and you don't just play 2.5 quarters of perfect basketball and expect to get it done against a great team like the Lakers.
You saw White go to the bench with the 4 fouls, and Brendan Haywood check in with nearly 2.5 minutes remaining in this third quarter. Biggest lead of the game, 19 points. And Leitner hitting the jumper. Christian Leitner, remember, he was the starting power forward when the year started.
And he was making that shot regularly and scoring double figures and playing extremely well before that injury.
Here is the Weber guarded by Leitner. And Weber with the short hook shot connects.
Well, he can get that shot. Leitner we know is 6'10", and he has long arms also. But that shot he has perfected, and he does it so well because he's not in a hurry.
Doug Christie with his 3rd personal foul on Michael Jordan with 2:07 remaining. And it is the 5th team foul, and so Jordan will go to the line. I wonder how long Jordan will play tonight, because he has played at least 40 minutes in 4 consecutive games, with another game, and as you pointed out, a critical game tomorrow night in Phoenix.
Well, I think Doug Collins is looking for them to make one last run. And if you start the 4th quarter, you get into 4 or 5 minutes into the quarter, if it's not there, then I think his time definitely will be cut down. But you want to give yourself a chance, because you never know in the NBA. Teams get cold, your team gets lucky, you make some threes, and all of a sudden, you start defending better.
20-point game, behind the back dribble by Bibby, and Weber finds an open Bibby, who connects on the short jumper. What great passing tonight by Sacramento.
Amen. Amen. Now, that was beautiful, because Chris Weber was wide open, and he could have forced the shot. Instead, he drops it right back to Bibby, and he puts the ball in the hole.
Here is Leitner, and the rebound taken down by Pollard. So Weber, after a slow start and a technical foul, has come on big for the Kings tonight. Here is Stojakovic, and Weber trying to keep it alive, and a loose ball foul will be called against Chris Weber. Weber with a double-double already, 18 points and 10 rebounds and 7 assists as well.
Brendan Haywood struggling, Dick, cannot catch the basketball tonight. Now, we haven't brought that up yet, but tonight he's just being out-muscled. They need him to block shots, to rebound at both ends of the floor, and he has done a disappearing act here this evening.
Here's the lineup next week on TBS and TNT in the NBA. Timberwolves and Mavericks, Tuesday at 8 p.m. That is on TBS. Wednesday, the Raptors and the Hornets from Toronto at 8 o'clock on TNT. And then on Thursday, TNT will bring you Kings and Spurs at 9 p.m. And you know, that kind of lack of aggressiveness really showed up in the second half against the Lakers Tuesday. Bibby, reverse layup, gets it back and hits.
They're such a high percentage shooting team that you cannot give them second shots in the painted area below the foul line, because they're murdered. They all can hit that mid-range shot.
Jordan off the rim, and the Kings already with a 22-point lead. Behind the back, Christie, Stojakovic, Christie, Stojakovic, 21.
Isn't it pretty? It's such an easy game when you see people being
Davis. And getting up slowly and limping a bit is Mike Bibby, whose dad is the head coach of the USC basketball team.
Well, Henry Bibby's having an outstanding year coaching USC. They were excellent last year. They're in the hunt again this season. Henry was a point guard in the NBA for 9 years, an outstanding point guard. And there's no doubt about it, this young guy has started to elevate into his potential this season here in Sacramento. They love his total game.
Bibby in his 4th year from Arizona. Michael Jordan with a couple of words for Gary Zielinski, and Hedo Turkoglu will check into the game, and Christie will get a hand. Only 6 points, 3 personal fouls. A lot of what he does, though, Hubie, as you pointed out, goes unnoticed.
Well, anytime that you are a point guard who can shoot a high percentage, you must be defended even on spot-ups. So just because you're such a threat, your man cannot cheat. And that's what you have in Bibby. He'll shoot the high percentage, and you must defend him, so your spacing is always good.
Bibby with 20 points and 8 on the shot clock, and that is Tyrone Nesby. And it's 83-59, and the shot clock is off for the Sacramento Kings, who are trying to extend their home record to 27-1. Weber, Leitner getting the rebound, and Ty Lue. Well, that 14-0 run by the Kings toward the latter stages of the second quarter has been the difference, and Sacramento kept it up in the third. After 3 quarters, the Kings lead the Wizards 83-59. 18-5 as you see the leading scorers in the game. And right now let's send it over to Craig Sager. Craig.
Well, Dick, Sacramento's home court advantage has never intimidated Michael Jordan. The first time he played in Sacramento, he scored 40 points. This is his 12th game in this city. He has never scored fewer than 24. Even more importantly, since the new Arco Arena was built, their tremendous home court advantage, Michael Jordan has never lost a game here. Of course, those were all streaks for the Bulls, and now only a quarter away from possibly being broken.
Craigie needs 8 points to get to that 24 right now.
The supporting cast in Chicago was a little bit better than the supporting cast here this evening.
How about Jordan and Richard Hamilton? They have scored 44 points between the two of them this year. 25 in this game. They're shooting 28% in this game. Both on the bench as we start the 4th quarter. And a foul, a blocking foul called against Brendan Haywood. Bibby is still in the game with Pollard, Stojakovic, Turkoglu, and Chris Webber. Kings have a chance to have 3 players with at least 20 points in the game. Webber has 18. Good chance he'll get 20. Turkoglu with the jumper. Hedo Turkoglu.
Hedo Turkoglu was on the winning 3-on-3 team. And the star was Marciulionis. All right, Marciulionis, in the one game he made 4 threes. And he and Turkoglu did a terrific job. And Penachero, the girl who plays on the WNBA team from here, they did an outstanding job. And they defeated the Philadelphia team in overtime. Moses Malone, Snow, Dawn Staley. It was great. And then Justin Timberlake was their guest star.
Here's Bobby Jackson into the game. Kings are well represented in the All-Star weekend and the All-Star game. Stojakovic goes out having scored 21 points. That after only 2 in the first quarter of the game. And the Sacramento Kings scored as many points in the third quarter as the Wizards had in the first half. 36.
You average 104 a game, Dick. You know you can get it done in a number of ways.
Davis for 3. Fighting for the loose ball. Leitner getting back into it now.
Yeah, he looks good tonight, Dick. And I'm glad you brought that up. Because not only is he scoring, but his rebounding has been terrific this evening.
And a double-double for Christian Leitner. 10 points and 10 rebounds. So that's his best performance in quite a while. Weber's pass went off the side of the backboard, but Jackson is able to hit a 3. Kings can do no more.
The big gamble was 1 year ago with 20 games to go. Rick Adelman said, I'm going to take Turkoglu, and we're going to play him at a 2-guard and a small forward, and we're not going to worry about whether he makes mistakes. All of a sudden, he develops, has a great year, did a nice job in the playoffs, and now all of a sudden you have a terrific 8-man rotation, and you have plenty of size.
Esby with the jumper. Remember, Rick Adelman brought 2 teams to the NBA Finals with the Portland Trail Blazers, so he has been there before. And what really lurks for the Kings will be the ultimate obstacle of the LA Lakers, which we'll talk a little bit about here. But 2.5 minutes gone by. Here's Ty Lue stepping back and hitting the 3. The third three-pointer for the Wizards tonight.
Now for Washington, Lue, Hubert Davis, Brandon Thomas, Brandon Haywood, very quiet this evening. These are key guys who are fringe people, but when you're doing it, they're doing and scoring for you.
Wizards will get the ball. So the Kings ultimately, Hubie, know they have to play the Lakers, and that is going to be the big obstacle going against the likes of L.A. Lost to them in 4 straight in the conference semis last year, in the first round in 5 games the year before. So that's going to be the thorn for them as Haywood is fouled.
Well, the big factor in that series will be naturally, can they somewhat control Shaq? And that is a job of Divac and Pollard. Then the Christie-Kobe Bryant matchup will also be major in that series.
Road record, which is 12-11, and you figure this team should be better than that.
Yeah, well, see, when you look at that 12-11 right there, here's the key stat right here. They play +15 at home, but they are a -1 on the road. See, their rebounding goes off. Now you say, now why do you bring that up? Well, even if you have home court advantage against the Lakers are going to beat you 1 time in a 7-game series in your building. Now your ability is, can you then negate that win in your building by winning 1 game in their building? That's what made Chicago so tough when they won the 6 rings. They would end it in 6, all right, because they'd always win a game 6 or 5. They would win a game in your building. Now, that is what the Lakers have done in the last 2 seasons. The exact same thing. They go in and they beat you. Now, can you beat them in their building? Very tough.
And we asked Rick Adelman about that, and he says we just don't have the same mental approach sometimes when we're on the road. We think we can't lose here, and we come out a little soft defensively on the road. They're going to have to work on that. Turkoglu hitting the 3 after Hayward's free throw. And it is now 91-67, and it looks like the Kings are going to get to that 104 and then some.
Well, you know, we know that there's a definite improvement in this team. We've been talking about it right at the top of the show and then through the game. Very few turnovers. They maximize each possession. They're a great 3-point shooting team. They've got a great fast break game. They get to the foul line night in and night out. And then, though they're 8 guys, there are no weak links in this 8-man rotation. They have good defense, and then they also have the power up front with a Turkoglu and a Pollard coming off the bench.
Chris Webber with the basket and the foul. He now has 20 points. So Stojakovic with 21. Webber and Bibby each with 20 points. Pollard getting the offensive rebound for the Kings. 93-67. And Turkoglu from 3 comes up empty, and the Wizards take over. The Sacramento Kings, one of the powers in the NBA now. And coming on in now is Mateen Cleaves, who is acquired from the Detroit Pistons. He'll have to wait for the next dead ball for John Barry. So Cleaves coming in, and Rick Adelman going throughout his entire roster tonight.
Well, right now, what he's experimenting with is playing Bibby as, you know, they're playing. Oh, wait a second. Where did he go?
Bibby's out there, and here's Webber getting it back and feeding Bobby Jackson. And Jackson runs it through. 95-67. And the crowd, the 110th consecutive sellout, enjoying this one.
They like to play Bibby and Jackson together. They run Bibby as that 2 guard. They run him off of all of the screens in their attack. They allow Bobby Jackson to run the game. All right, see, Mateen Cleaves came out on the floor, and the referee sent him back to the bench, and they made Bibby stay out on the floor for that one possession.
But now Cleaves will come on. Former Michigan State star, and Lawrence Funderburk comes in as well as we send it over to Ernie Johnson. Ernie. Here is Leitner, and Leitner's fouled and will shoot 2. And the Kings foul is against Funderburk, and that is his first. Just came into the game.
Well, Funderburk is their 9th man, and he is also a strong 6'9" scorer, left-handed, post-up type of a player. So if they get an injury to any of their front court people at playoff time, you will see Funderburk move into that 8-man rotation.
Leitner with the free throws, now 12 points. Christian Leitner already with the double-double tonight. So Cleaves with Turkoglu, Funderburk, Bobby Jackson, and Scott Pollard in the post. Pollard defended by Etan Thomas, who has come in for Washington. And here is Jackson with a high three-pointer for Jackson, his second.
They've maximized the diagonal pass tonight. So many times they're in the lane with the ball, and then they throw the ball out and they knock in the 3.
And Thomas with the turnaround, and the crowd yelling for Gerald Wallace, their draft pick from the University of Alabama, and he's going to be coming into the game. And the ball knocked away, and here's Wallace in the crowd appreciating him. Wallace finished second in the slam dunk contest to Jason Richardson of Golden State, who was the MVP in the Cotton Milk Rookie Challenge as well.
Well, they like him because he's got incredible athletic ability. He's 6'7". He's very talented. He did not start in his freshman year at the University of Alabama, and he came into the draft anyway after playing only 1 year of basketball. But this team right here looked at him, took him at the bottom of the draft at 25th on that first round, and they like what they see.
Hamilton in now to Leitner, gets it back. Hamilton having a rough night shooting, but connects there off the screen. Hamilton with 11. 98-73 in favor of Sacramento, nearly halfway through this final quarter. Turkoglu and Etan Thomas, who's come on as of late for the Wizards.
Yeah, Doug Collins telling us tonight that he really likes his contribution. He's scoring much better. He seems to have found where he fits in the offense.
Hamilton in the lane back to Leitner. Bobby Jackson. Turkoglu down low to Wallace. Wallace trapped behind by Etan Thomas, but a feed to Funderburk and the stop.
Very unselfish team tonight, Dick. They're really looking to make the pass, and that's when you're a fan and you have the loyalty like they have here, you just love that about your home team.
Davis, Hubert Davis with the jumper, his first points, 100-75. And Wallace gets another chance inside. The crowd will erupt if Wallace scores, and he's determined to do so. Thomas getting the rebound. 5 minutes remaining in the game. Kings lead 100-75. Davis with his second straight basket.
Well, it's nice to see Hubert Davis back, and you can see he's huffing and puffing. Anytime that you're out a couple of weeks in this business, you can ride the bike all you want. It never makes up for the actual playing.
Funderburk with a fine, hard drive across the middle. 102-77, and the Kings just 2 points away from their season's average of 104. Here's Davis. Hamilton gets Wallace in the air and hits Hamilton with 13 points. 5 of 16 shooting tonight for the former UConn star. And Mateen Cleaves with the lay. 104-79 Sacramento.
Been one of those nights where the home team, anytime they put the ball on the floor, they just blow right by the visitors.
Hamilton with a 3, but his scoring totals will look a lot better than they were. A 3-point basket and a timeout called. So Hamilton with 16 points. It's 104-82. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. All right. So Pollard will inbound from under the basket. No, it's not radio. Sorry. Gene Cleaves going out of the game. And Bobby Jackson returns to the lineup. Courtney Alexander into the game for the Wizards. And Turkoglu from the perimeter comes up short. So Alexander into the game. Back here at Arco Arena, the Sacramento Kings equaling their season's average with 104 points with 3:05 remaining. Hedo Turkoglu is knocked down and fouled on the baseline, and he may be shaken up. Foul is called against Hamilton. The concern for Turkoglu, because you talked about how the great 8-man rotation that Rick Adelman has, and this is a team, by the way, that going into the All-Star break had the fewest games missed because of injury, just 57 in the NBA. The Lakers were next at 64, so they have been injury-free basically, other than Weber.
Absolutely, Dick. It's an excellent point, and you can see this young guy is stunned. He's a tough guy, and I think by falling, what you're hoping for, you can see it's either in the leg or in the hip area or down in the ankle somewhere.
And it comes with the game out of reach. 3:04 to go. 20-point lead for the Kings. The Sacramento Kings, who had a lead as large as 29, are in front by 20 with 3:04 remaining here in the fourth quarter. Coming up after the game, it's a special Valentine's Day edition of Inside the NBA with Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, and Charles Barkley coming your way after the game. A sweetie in a nice balloon heart. What's a better look on Valentine's Day? And for Richard Hamilton, celebrating his 24th birthday today, has 16 points, but really did not get on track for the Wizards. Michael Jordan on the bench most of this quarter with 16 points. It just not was the Wizards' night. They led actually by 9 early on, and then the Kings started to click, and they put on a clinic tonight.
Well, the Kings started out cold, could not make a shot. Washington, we remember, it was like 30, 31 each, and then all of a sudden the roof caved in. The turnovers, Sacramento out in the open floor, and then they made 3 threes, just broke the game open.
Let's check in with Craig Sager.
Dick, you're talking about the clinic. Hubie was talking about the unselfish play. Since Chris Webber came back from that ankle injury, this is the 8th time in the last 20 games that the Kings have had at least 3 players with 20 points or more. They spread the ball out, and Hubie, you've always said a team to win a championship, these 3 scorers, that's what they've been showing since Webber returned.
No question about it. Pollard with the tip-in, so 21 points for Stojakovic, 20 for Weber, 20 for Bibby. Jackson with 14 off the bench. And Weber, by the way, Craig, just missed a triple-double with 1 assist tonight. He came out of the game. 20 points, 14 rebounds, and 9 assists. He's had 14 career triple-doubles as Hamilton now with 18.
Well, you can see when Chris Webber is on top of his game how well the rest of the team responds. And they make that extra pass. And anytime you have a power forward who can hit the people like Chris Webber can, it lifts the spirits of the other 4 guys, and they continue to run without the ball. And that has been the beauty here this evening. Penetration with the dribble, people moving without the basketball, the extra pass, and then the completion. They do shoot a high percentage.
And you saw bonus coverage before of the Lakers and the Sonics. They're tied 41-41 in the second quarter. Leitner hitting from the perimeter. And, of course, if the Lakers do struggle, the Sacramento Kings could open up a 2-game edge in the loss column at the end of tonight in the West. Here is Turkoglu, and it's knocked out of bounds. Last touch by the Wizards with 14 on the shot clock, 1:22 in the game.
Well, Doug Collins and his staff, they can take advantage here in this last quarter. They've been playing all of their bench people. It's been good for Hubert Davis and Christian Laettner because they're getting excellent minutes here. And these are two guys that are in his prime rotation of 8 or 9. And you know you're going to need them in these next 33 games.
Hamilton coming alive too little too late. 20 points for Hamilton, but for the Wizards, hey, you go on the road to play the Lakers and the Kings with the day in between. Any team would struggle in that matchup, and of course they conclude this portion of the Western trip with a game tomorrow night against Phoenix. But it's the next time they come here, Hubie, when they've got the Clippers, they have the Sonics, Golden State, Denver, Utah, and then play Toronto. And of course they also have a tough 10-game road schedule toward the end of the year, so it will not be easy for the Wizards, but they got a little pad now. Here is Turkoglu, who's all right after being shaken up before. Here is Hamilton. Hamilton trying to get it back now. Davis missing the jumper. Good hustle by Etan Thomas, and he's fouled.
You and I have been involved with the Washington Wizards at least 7 times this year. But we have seen the younger players grow. And by that we mean into their potential as professional players. They have a ton of guys now at that center and power forward position with the White and Haywood and you say Christian Laettner and Popeye Jones, Etan Thomas. And they're starting to get a feel of what is expected of them. Unfortunately, they just don't have blazing speed out on the perimeter. But they're maximizing what they have. People are growing, and it should be a good finish for them. And in next year, an excellent development where they'll make another step.
Let's remember, Michael Jordan came back. No one had any idea how he would perform. No one really thought the Wizards would be this strong at this point. Michael Jordan has been a remarkable player. As you mentioned, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Only Kobe Bryant has done that. 39 years old on Sunday, and the Wizards right in the thick of things with all of that.
Well, the sellouts around the league. Every game that they have played this year at home and on the road, a sellout. The people clamor to watch him play. Television ratings on all of the games, up. Attendance, every place, up. He has been a godsend to the league, and he has responded by playing outstanding basketball for a guy 39. You hit the nail right on the head.
But the Wizards have run into another buzzsaw. It was the second half against the Lakers. It was most of this game against the Kings. And the Sacramento Kings have won their 20th straight at home. They are now 27-1 here at Arco Arena and threatening the all-time franchise record for consecutive home wins set by the Rochester Royals back in 1949, 1950 when our statistician Marty Aronoff was just a kid. 23 in a row. The final score, the Kings 109, the Wizards 93. Stojakovic with 21, Weber with 20, Bibby with 20, Hamilton had 20, and Jordan 16. So for Hubie Brown and Craig Sager, this is Dick Stockton saying goodnight from Sacramento, and we'll send you to Inside the NBA with Ernie Johnson after this break. So long, everybody.